Playtesting your game is important, and I don't just mean testing out the new puzzle or enemy you added, I mean playtesting everything from the very start of your game. While you're working on polishing a late game boss, your potential players are still stuck on the first level, absolutely livid with a mechanic they can't figure out, or an issue they simply can't resolve. Players stop games when they're either bored or frustrated, so you need to do everything in your power to help them and hook them in from the start. But how? What sorts of things will immediately turn players off? Well, recently I've had several people from Fiverr playtest my game blind. Having your friends and family playtest is great, but sometimes having someone unafraid to insult you is what you truly need. And wouldn't you know, they had a lot of similar issues almost immediately. As soon as they started, they all wanted to lower the volume of the blaring music, and found the settings menu wasn't available in-game, it was only in the main menu. Forcing players to exit your game as soon as they start is awful. I had naively expected players would adjust their settings before they started playing, but I learned my lesson and imported these settings into the in-game pause menu, which honestly it should have been there already. Even if they didn't need to change anything, seeing no settings menu in-game is seeing a gaping void of a standard video game feature. It is dangerously easy to let all your focus stay on combat systems, enemy AI, and level design, but if your game doesn't offer super basic standard features of any software, then how much can you really expect players to invest into the experience you've crafted? My testers played through the tutorial and frankly struggled to perform some of the basic actions being taught. You as a developer are an expert on what your game can do, which can cloud your view of what needs to be taught and how. Playtesters will quickly show you how something isn't explained well, isn't designed well, or utterly ruins their experience. As some examples, my tutorials told players to right-click to fire their bow. Short, simple, terrible. Because I actually want players to hold down their right mouse button to charge arrows before releasing the key to fire. They'd get the concept eventually, but making them waste several arrows is ridiculous when I should just explain things more precisely. One player hated having to click to use an item after they already hit the number key to equip it. Very sluggish, and I agree. I rarely use that control option, so it was invaluable to hear how different methods of control could be better. Lastly, and the worst, a player died at the end of the tutorial and was forced to play the entire thing again as they did not manually save the game when the tutorial prompted them to. Punishments in some form are important so that the game has stakes, but forcing players to repeat identical tasks is understandably infuriating. You can't expect players to do the right thing, at least not at first. You have to expect your players to fail so that you can anticipate ways to help them succeed. After all, you do want the player to succeed. These rules may be flexible with roguelike gameplay loops, but the concept still stands that you want to help players back on their feet as fast as possible. I immediately added autosave checkpoints to both the tutorial level and the rest of the game. I want players to courageously explore and not constantly stress about all the progress they might lose. I want players to enjoy their time in the experience I've built, and truly the only way to find out is to ask them. So keep these concepts in mind. You may be an expert on developing and designing your game, but you yourself really don't know much about playing it.